Greetings and salutations, my name is Deku Druid, and welcome back to Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War. This episode, we're going to be continuing on with our pursuit of the suspicious sightings of the 8-pointed star, aka the forces of Chaos Undivided. Also, following off the back of our last episode, we now will be joined by an Inquisitor, Inquisitor Toth, which I must admit I'm looking forward to, because Inquisitors in the Warhammer universe are never a good thing, at all. So, let's jump straight into it and see what's going to happen.
The orcs have been repelled, and their war boss has been defeated. But this war is far from over. The orcs still threaten to overcome several major population centers, and could mass more than a large enough force to overwhelm the Imperial armies present on the planet. We have bought time, nothing more. But this is no longer a primary concern. Our scouts have recovered evidence that the forces of Chaos, the great enemy, may be operating on this planet, right under our very noses. We must face this foe wherever they stand. If there is even a chance that they are here, we must seek them out and destroy them. Inquisitor Toth is demanding that we leave the planet, but of all the powers his position grants him, commandeering a space marine company is not one of them. I must admit that I find his presence unwelcome so soon after the events on my homeworld of Cyrene. Inquisitors have a way of inflaming a guilty conscience, and that I do not need right now.
This warp storm could trap us here for a month or for a century. We cannot risk staying here. We must evacuate Tartarus before it arrives in 3 days' time.
The Imperial Guard and Holy Fleet can attend to the evacuation. The Blood Ravens have more pressing matters to contend with.
Such as?
I believe agents of Chaos have taken strong root here.
I sense no taint here. Even so, were there a Chaos presence on Tartarus, it is better we leave them here with the orcs than waste more lives fighting them. We could wish no worse fate for either of our enemies, and to be trapped with the other. But we must leave here now.
That is a matter for my brothers and I to decide. We will use these 3 days to settle our affairs and satisfy our suspicions. Meanwhile, you have our transports to facilitate evacuation.
Colonel Brom, the captain and I must attend to matters of faith. If you would leave us, please.
But surely this involves me as a...
Forgive me for not being clear on the matter. I said please, when in fact I meant now.
This does involve him. You should have shown him a modicum of respect.
Captain, you uncovered extensive heresy on your home world. Cyrene, was it?
That has nothing to do with the events here on Tartarus.
But I believe they do. You requested the Inquisition undertake an exterminatus, the destruction of your planet's entire populace, which we obliged.
I still fail to see...
Captain, I am not questioning your loyalty, but I must wonder if your actions on Cyrene have not affected your judgment. Perhaps that was a poor choice of words. I merely fear that you might see chaos, but it does not exist. I ask that as a loyal subject of the Emperor, you serve the Imperium's interest before your own agenda.
Captain, that Inquisitor had no right to speak to you in such manner. But perhaps he is right. The coming storm will trap our enemies here, where they can consume one another.
And what if the forces of Chaos escape the system before the storm? No. We will not use this freak occurrence as an excuse to avoid our enemies, or our responsibility. They are here for a reason, and we will discover that reason.
We are with you, brother Captain, as always.
The humans are coming your way in full force. You should hear their heavy feet long before you see them, and smell them long before that.
Orbital Command has indicated the dropship landed in this general proximity. We've discovered a path, Captain. It's obvious someone has been digging here.
Cut by orcs?
I've never seen an orc lend such a careful hand to a task.
If it wasn't orcs, then it must be the forces of chaos. We will follow this path and discover the truth behind what has transpired here.
My god, the trees are filled with really, really cranky space elves.
The sacred artifact will now be available to us. Construct it, and we will have access to powerful abilities.
As if the orcs weren't enough.
I await your instructions.
Now we get to deal with the other ones.
I await your instructions.
No matter. Let's just get straight to it. I am curious to see what this religious artifact is going to take the shape of. My understanding would be it would be an artifact from, obviously, pre-Horus Heresy, probably, and therefore probably like a note or a tablet or something, like with maybe even the Emperor's written on it. Or maybe one of the Emperor's, like, chosen champions. Again, I don't know where the Blood Angels descend from, like what chapter or what legion they're originally descended from, so I don't know who their Primarch is. Anyway, Toph's a cool looking Inquisitor. I'm gonna say it now. He's got the power hammer, he's got the pistol, he's got the right attitude, and he's got a pretty charismatic voice. Man,
Scouts awaiting orders. Yes, my lord.
Very, very baritone bass. No matter. Alright, so it seems we've got to follow a path, which gives me an idea we're going to be dealing with a sort of linear type map. No matter, no worries, we can deal with it. We're going to get a scout, we're going to scout out as much as we can so we have an idea of what we're dealing with, and then I'll build my army that'll be...
Search commencing.
I don't know, we'll build an army that's
Gathering
accurate or the most capable to what we're going to have to deal with. The last mission told me maybe to not... Oh.
Gathering intelligence. Getting into position.
Broken orcs.
Getting into position.
They have no morale, but that still doesn't mean I want to throw my poor little scouts against them, because they will get absolutely shredded.
Gathering intelligence.
Because that's one thing I've learned, is that scouts are not great at melee.
Moving out. Stay vigilant.
This is weird.
Commencing attack.
This is very weird.
Fear our wrath.
Scouts awaiting orders.
They weren't attacking. They were fleeing.
What could inspire fear in an orc?
Yes, Lord.
I don't know if that was fear. Maybe just some tactical relocation. I refuse to have my orcs be bad-mouthed in such a way by you, brother librarian.
Infiltration.
Clearly, it wasn't fear. It was tactical greatness. But yeah. After the last mission, I feel like I've kind of learned a bit more from my mistakes. Mainly the mistake being to not.
It will be done.
Tanks are great, and armored vehicles definitely carried the way last match, but I don't feel like it was a good idea for me to over-rely on armor again.
These orc bodies do not look like they were dispatched by Imperial hands. We must proceed with caution.
Scouts advance.
Oh lord, here we go.
We will root it out.
Here it comes,
Scouts
guys.
advance. Scouts advance. Gathering intelligence.
Perhaps we were mistaken about the presence of the forces of chaos.
Be it Eldar or Chaos, I will have answers either way. Press on.
Danger. We will root it out.
So we meet. Alright.
Commencing infiltration.
The Eldar, the Eldari.
Gathering intelligence.
I'm assuming they're probably Craftworld Eldari, because I don't think...
Yes,
if they were Exodites, they would have dinosaurs. That's a cool fact I know about the Eldar. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. I know next to nothing about the Eldar. They are probably
Getting into
them and
position.
Tau are probably the faction I know the
We'll
least
move ahead
about.
and mark any enemy positions.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing,
Intelligence.
because,
How
I
can I
mean,
serve?
you know, everybody has their favorites, and my favorites are clearly the Orcs.
Scouts ready.
But I can talk a little bit about them. So, if I remember correctly, lore-wise, the Eldar, or Eldari, as I think is their race's name for themselves, were created way
Scouts
way
awaiting
back
orders.
by
Search
the
commencing.
Great Old Ones, back at, like, the dawn of the galaxy or
Search
whatever.
commencing. Gathering intelligence.
To be more accurate, I'm just going to say pre-War in Heaven.
What is it you desire?
Oh,
Hold formation.
they have carriers. That's cool. Carriers that can fly. I'm now a little jealous. I wonder if we'll get Valkyries. That would be cool. But yeah, the Great Old Ones, back at the dawn of the galaxy, pre-War in Heaven, made the Eldari. I'm not sure why they made them. I think it was just to, like, kind of flex their sort of genetic supremacy, because the Old Ones were, like, super advanced. They were super powerful psychics. They were masters of genetic crafting. They pretty much had the universe in the palm of their hands,
Emperor
and they
protects.
did whatever they pretty want. They did whatever they wanted, because back then they were the big dogs. But yeah, they made the Eldar. They made them and the Eldar are a super powerful, beautiful, genetically
At your
perfect,
command.
super psychic race with an immense amount of psychic potential. And they're, like, stronger than a human, faster than a human. They have more psychic powers and more psychics in
How can
general,
I
I'm pretty
serve?
sure. I believe is the case with them anyway. I'm not sure if all Eldar are psychers or if they all have psychic potential. I'd have to
Praise
check
the
that one.
Emperor.
But they have really powerful psychers in the case of their Farseers and whatnot. But yeah, they were made to be, like, this beautiful... I think the Old Ones must have thought of them like flowers, honestly. You know how people have, with gardens, they grow, like, pretty flowers? Instead of flowers, the Old Ones made the Eldar.
Position
The
secure.
Eldar are Old One flowers. Let's just go with that. That's my new headcanon, and I'm being attacked. I'm getting off topic, though. So, when the Old Ones made the Eldar, they were there to take over the galaxy for the Great Old Ones. They just let them go crazy, run rampant. Unfortunately, they were not alone in the galaxy, and that's when the Necrontyr came in, and then that shaboonery happened, and then you had the War in Heaven, which was between the Necrons and the Eldar, and then the Great Old Ones, seeing the Eldar getting stomped, made the Krorks, and, you know, then the Krorks stepped in, and then there was the Catan, and it was a thing. So, following the War in Heaven, the Old Ones are gone, either eaten by, like, psychic abominations, or killed by the Catan themselves and eaten, leaving the galaxy fractured. So then the Necrontyr went to sleep and became the Necrons as we know them today. The Krorks, I don't actually know what happened so much with the Krorks in that time. Did they turn on the Eldar? Did the Krorks just not have anyone to fight and then were trapped because they didn't know how to use Old One webways? Like, I'm actually not sure about that. I should look that up. Because what? I don't know why the Krorks didn't just, you know, take over the galaxy at that point. Because for those of you who are unaware, Krorks were the old versions of the Orcs. Basically, take an Orc, magnify its size, strength, and I'm pretty sure its intelligence and its psychic powers. And yeah, you get a Krork, aka the I'm going to punch God in the face and there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, then the Eldar, unfortunately, the Eldar were left to their own devices, and for some reason, without the Great Old Ones watching over them like a helicopter parent, they decided that they were going to... Okay, I'm about to start talking about Slanesh. Now, those of you who know what Slanesh is about know why I'm hesitant to do this on YouTube as a platform. So, from this point forward, we're going to be talking about hedonism, and more accurately, grape juice. Please, for the love of God, understand what I mean when I say grape juice. So, without the Old Ones to watch over them, this race of super beautiful, highly psychically powerful space elves, for some reason, decided to go on a massive multi-planet bender. We're talking rock, we're talking roll, we're talking drugs, we're talking the other one that goes with that combination. Please be old enough to understand what I mean when I say that. But then it got weird. So apparently they weren't having enough fun. So they decided to have more fun. This more fun took the form of
What is it you desire?
Scouts
I
in
believe
position.
they call it excess. Now, by excess, I mean we're talking blood cults, we're talking parties with skin flaying, we're talking piercings in very uncomfortable places. At some point, it stopped being what we would consider a party and turned more into like a festival of debauchery. Murder, grape juice, weird hedonistic practices that I don't even want to really get into, but by the end of it, it probably looked like the cover art of one of those really heavy metal covers, and I mean heavy metal, maybe even death metal or Viking metal, whichever one has the more intense cover art for their albums. I mean, but yeah, this came with a downside. The downside being, like I said, the Eldar are a race of extremely psychically powerful space elves. And as said race of extremely potent psychics, they just so happen to push some of that psychic influence into what back then I think was called the Realm of Souls or something. But what we know as the Warp. And feeding. So as they were feeding all those emotions into the Warp, the Warp was happily slurping on it. And slurping on it. And slurping on it. Until all of those psychic thoughts about murder parties and grape juice and hedonism coalesced into a very uncomfortable jacuzzi stain that we now call Slanesh. The god of hedonism, excess, and grape juice.
Scouts advance.
To celebrate her birth into the wonderful non-existence of the Warp, she then proceeded to devour the souls of an incredibly large portion of the Eldar, therefore decimating their population, and is probably being the single reason they are not currently the ultimate superpower in the galaxy. The only ones to survive, I believe, were the Exodites, who got fed up with the hedonistic boombastic parties and went to go play Minecraft and ride dinosaurs on a couple of less developed planets. And a couple of the craft worlds, I think, which were like these massive like space fleets or like giant habitation fleets that the Eldar cruised around on in space. But yeah, so that's the Eldar. The Eldar today are, and when I say today, I mean the Eldar in 40k present day, like the ones we'd be dealing with now, would be nothing more than a bunch of like these. They have a very powerful sense of pride. They're very superior. They have a very large superiority complex. They see all the other races as inferior. They look at humans as unevolved monkeys. I think they call us monkai, for heaven's sakes. And the impressive thing is they managed to keep this sense of superiority, despite the fact that their race, which was once a multi-star-faring race, murder partied into existence Slanesh, which is just so impressive, considering you have to have the beer goggles you have to have on, like the blinders, like, you know, we can do no wrong. Your wrong is a giant purple abomination flying around the Immaterium, so you very much can do wrong. But yeah, so, and the most annoying thing about that, I suppose, is the way they do look down on the other races. I see the orcs as just simpletons that they can decimate with their genius, despite the fact that they have been beaten by orcs before. Same with humans, same with chaos. I don't really know if any times the Tau and the Eldar have clashed. Like I said, I don't really know a lot about those two races in particular.
Any enemy positions. Yes, my lord.
Oh, and by the way, this is just the craft world Eldar. There's another civilization, let's call them, of Eldar. Yes, they're called the Dark Eldar, and we're not going to get into them because I've already talked about grape juice enough, and I really don't want to talk about it even more because I value having, you know...
intelligence.
I don't want to get a cease and desist letter that says, stop talking about this crap on our platform, you absolute lunatic. Oh, and by the way, the reason I did just go on that long spiel of talking there was just to try and, like... Nothing interesting's happening yet. If something exciting does pop up, I'll be sure to talk about it, but for now it's just scouting.
On patrol. Scouts advance. Getting into position.
At least we know that the orcs and Eldar are not in league together.
When one enemy attacks another, it does not mean they aren't in league. Just that they are living up to their lack of honor.
And those who lack honor deserve death.
Look at them orcs go! Yes!
Scouts
Yes!
advance. On
Beautiful!
patrol.
Fantastic.
Getting into position.
So, we have orc holdouts still.
We will move ahead.
Without the
Mark
war boss,
any
they're not going to
enemy
be
positions.
as big a threat, but the fact that there's still
Getting into
sizable
position.
orc bases on the
I
planet
sense
is
danger.
concerning.
We will root it out. On
And
patrol.
with a warp storm incoming, I don't think
Scouts
we're going to have
advance.
enough time to purge them all. I think
We
at
will
this
move
point,
ahead
honestly,
and mark any
Tartarus
enemy
is
positions.
just
Commencing
considered a lost planet.
infiltration.
Like, it's not a lost cause per se, but there's not much
Here to serve.
purpose, I suppose would be the word, between trying to hold a planet while
I
it's
shall
like
obey.
this. Come on, let me build the
I
damn
will
artifact.
do
There
as
we
you
go.
ask.
There's not much point in trying to
Scouts
hold a
here.
planet that's about to be consumed by a warp storm, is infested by orcs, probably has chaos presence on it, and is also being invaded by some Eldar. So I don't really know. I understand
We'll move
that
ahead
Gabriel wants
and
to
mark
kind of
any
like
enemy
show
positions.
off to the
I sense
Inquisitor
danger.
that chaos
We will
is
root it
here.
out.
Probably, I don't know why, I think it's an ego thing
Commencing
at this point,
infiltration.
but
We will
as
move
it
ahead
stands,
and mark
I don't
any
think there's
enemy
much point in them
positions.
fighting for this planet
Commencing
anymore.
infiltration. Scouts advance.
Alright, I think that's enough scouting.
Yes, my lord. Gathering intelligence.
Apothecaries are standing by to tend to our wounded.
Getting
Build
into
them
position.
at the sacred artifact.
On patrol.
Oh, cool, we have healing units now.
Getting into position.
I
Getting
admit,
into position.
I'm interested to see
Yes, my
how
lord.
that'll work, because I do not remember right now off the top of my head.
Search.
Because
commencing.
the orcs had a hero unit who did
We'll
that,
move
the
ahead
Mad Doc,
and mark
and
any
you
enemy
used him like a
positions.
regular hero unit and just attached
Search
him to a
commencing.
squad, and he gave it a healing benefit. So
Search.
I'm not
commencing.
sure if apothecaries are the same or different, if they are a
I
commander unit or
await
whatever.
your
But yeah,
instructions.
probably
Beware
going to
the
cut back
alien,
in here
the
because
mutant.
we've got the army and we're about to just march.
For the honor
So
of
we've
the
given
chapter.
each of the four commanders a squad of Space Marines. I've equipped
We
each of the Space
shall
Marines with
know
a
no
different
fear.
specialty. So we've got one squad of rockets, heavy bolters, plasmas, and flamers. And now we are just going to march the objective, only stopping to eliminate the orcs
Follow
along the
my
way because
lead.
it's a side objective.
We shall know no fear.
I'm not gonna lie, with a force this impressive, I don't think there's much that can stop us, but if something
shall
does,
know no fear.
I have a machine cult back at base, and I am prepared to make dreadnoughts as need be. We are also going to be capturing points along the way simply so if need be, we do have the resources to mount a counterattack as need be. This will slow us down slightly, but I don't know if there's going to be that much interesting
Here to
happening since this
serve.
is a very straightforward mission. So there might just be some more
I
skips. Keep your eyes
exist
out.
to serve.
There is no such thing
Alrighty,
as
we got a
innocence,
listening post set up.
only
Let's
degrees
just
of
keep going.
guilt. At your command.
I will notice one thing, another thing about this game that's showing its age is the
At
amount
your
of units
command.
I can have selected at one time. When
At
they
your
start
command.
moving in groups, there's a little bit of pathing AI issues, but I've already said that before.
I shall never
Dark
die.
Reapers, fall back. We
I
need
will
Rhino
destroy their
transport
minds
tanks.
and burn
They will
their
allow us to get
bodies.
through unscathed and attack the Dark Reapers on those cliffs above.
That's one option. Or we shoot them.
With courage and honor.
Rhino transports are now available. Build them at the machine cult.
Okay. Again, Gabriel, we brought snipers for a reason. That's not even a joke. That's the whole reason I brought this squadron of scouts, was specifically so that if we encountered like just regular fleshies, the snipers could do that whole
can
decimation
sense
of
the enemy.
morale in single
They are
target units.
close. I will destroy their minds and burn their bodies.
To be fair, it looks like it's mostly the plasma casters doing work though.
With courage and honor. An open mind.
Look at this one flamer dude! Go ham, my brother! Respect.
Mind over matter.
And I didn't even have to waste time
I
on making an
serve
unnecessary
At
transport.
once. With courage and honor.
So, another cool fact about the Eldar, their buildings and weapons and stuff, I think, are made of this substance called Wraithbone. It's like a psychic mortar and sort of... I don't actually know what it's made of, to be completely fair with you, but I know it's psychoreactant, so... Like, I know they make their vehicles and stuff out of it, and their ships, and, Oh, it produces since it's psychoreactant, it has the same properties as the Geller fields on regular Imperial crafters, craft ships and stuff, which stops demons getting in through the warp.
I serve
when they travel
mankind.
through the warp, I mean. The
Confirmed.
guys who use it, I think, are called Bone Singers, and they like
For the honor of the chapter.
use it to make weapons and vehicles, like I already
shall
said,
not
but also
fail.
like art and music, because if you look at the Eldar in a vacuum, they're not as bad, I guess. It's kind of cool to think of them, you know, acting elfy. Oh, I'm not sure if I skipped over or not, but I made one of the apothecaries because I wanted to see how he worked, and it's like the Mad Doc of the orcs. He just latches onto a unit and gives it the healing properties. So that's cool. We get that out of the Ancient Relic building. There was also a bunch of upgrades for Librarian and the Force Commander. So just like powers for them, additional powers and stuff, which is also useful. Not gonna lie, also useful. I mean, now that they've got a healer, I'm not sure whether these guys would be better at close range with the Flamer or... Yeah. I'm honestly a little bit impressed.
On my way.
Like, we haven't really
will see
used
that it
any
happens.
armor. Like, I know I
I
made
will
that
see
Rhino
that it
before
happens.
just to see what they look
The
like,
Emperor
but
protects.
the Marines have just been kind of crumping everything. Ah, there it is. That's why we brought the Flamers. As dumb as it sounds, that teleporting was
The
why I
Emperor
made
protects.
the Flamers.
The Emperor
Because I'm like,
protects. I will see that it happens.
again, while the Flamers I don't think do as much damage as some of the other guns, I know they do damage against shit like random melee units that want to rush you.
Judgment.
The only issue is when they actually get into melee and then suddenly you're doing less damage because your troops are using melee weapons instead of the Flamers you gave them. This Rhino is curious. Like, I want to use its powers though just to test it out, but it doesn't seem to have guns. And they won't even focus it, which is annoying, so I can't even use it as a shield. But the smoke screen's cool.
This day shall be a glorious one for the Imperium.
My knowledge is at your disposal.
But yeah, I don't know if I like these Rhino transports. The idea of an APC that doesn't even have a gun seems kind of stupid, or at least window slats so that the guys inside can shoot out of it. I think it was Tiberium Wars. Like, I remember playing Command & Conquer 3, and I think it was Tiberium Wars that had something like that. The Eagle people, not Kane's group, but the other guys, like the government or whatever, they had those APCs. I really liked those. That was a cool game. I should go back and play that game one day. That's gonna be cut. That 100% is getting cut. Holy shit, that was annoying. For those of you who are out of the loop, which will be all of you, I don't know why I said it like that, the Rhino just decided it did not want to move, and it stopped me being able to move forward for a solid 2 minutes. So, we're glossing over that, we're back on the approach. Surprise attacks. Filthy Eldar, no one shoot them in the head. Actually, that's a good point.
Will be done.
The 40k's opinion of honor is very curious in a sense. The way they view melee combat, I'm not sure if somebody can tell me if this is true or not, but it seems like it might be like the most devious thing Khorne has ever done, because almost every faction that I'm aware of has a capacity or even a desire to use melee combat very frequently. Humans, I mean, for God's sakes, the amount of power swords alone. Orcs speak for themselves. I mean, for heaven's sakes, they crump you, they run into you, they punch you in the face. They've got choppers, sluggers, smashers. They got it all. Eldar, they have their they have like sabers, I think, and like some type of weird guitars. And like bladed tantos, not tantos, what are they called? Nightsticks. They're the nightstick looking things, but with like blades in them, I think. Basically they use arm blades, I think. Then there's Chaos.
Yes,
I mean,
most beneficent one,
of course, Chaos use
1371
melee weapons. Let's just
initiated.
gloss over that.
Prepare to serve.
Tau, the coolest Tau guy,
With
Commander Farsight, he uses Demon Sword. That's pretty cool. The Tyranids eat you, so I think that qualifies as melee. But yeah, like, I think if you look at it from outside perspective, I swear, it's like the most devious thing Korn ever did, was convince the galaxy that melee is cool.
I await
Like,
your
it must be like the influence of being within the Milky Way galaxy or whatever, because like, Korn's just put his foot down and he's decided that if you don't use melee, you're a nerd.
Beware
And that's
the
specifically so he can crap all over Zich.
There is no such thing as innocence, only degrees of guilt. Do I detect uncertainty in your purpose? At your command.
Taking damage.
At your command. At your command.
The Eldar in this are a bit squishy. I know that
At
sounds
once.
probably stupid, but like,
serve.
keep in mind the Eldar are, while they may not be as chunky as our Space Marine boys here, the Eldar are by no means unguarded. I mean, if their armor's made of Wraithbone, it probably has a protective psychic field around it. Wraithbone can actually regrow slightly, so there's that as well. So their armor kind of regrows itself. But, maybe it's because of the difficulty I'm on. I'm only on hard. There is the insane difficulty. Maybe.
Do I detect uncertainty in your purpose?
Also, to be fair, this mission's not the usual destroy the enemy mission. It's like a weird path mission. But what we're gonna do here is actually double back and kill the orcs because I'm a stickler for doing a job 100% of the way. And unfortunately, we still gotta
I
kill
will
the
do
orcs.
as you ask.
Gathering
About to
intelligence.
knock on these boys' door and tell them, hey, don't mind us, we killed your boss and now we're here for you. I guess Plasmacasters work well on the Wog Towers because they technically aren't that heavily armored. That's kind of cool to know. So, I do like the way they've established the weapons system, so they're equipping heavy ordnance, like flamers for destroying morale and light armored units, heavy bolters for regular infantry, but it requires you guys to be stationary for a period as a wind-up round. Plasma casters for heavy infantry, and then you have your rockets, which is for your heavy vehicles and structures. Interesting, the orcs didn't capture their points. I guess they didn't want the mission to turn into a sort of, I guess they didn't want the orcs to overrun the Eldar. That would have been funny. Instead of us having to fight our way through Eldar, instead there's a whole stem the green tide again.
Through discipline, we prevail.
Yep. Now we just mop up the last few greenskins.
Do I detect uncertainty in your purpose?
I don't know if... I guess we should make a forward operating base, although it feels like a waste of time in all honesty, because these are the same Marines we've had since the start. We are... the last mission was actually a lot harder than this, but I guess that was a boss level.
What are your needs?
Nah. Let's just keep pushing on.
The fallen shall be forever remembered as the Emperor's finest.
That's a cool line for the apothecary. As dumb as it may sound, like, you know, being a medic in the 40k universe must suck. Especially when you have the double going around and collecting the gene seed after they fall. That would suck, actually. In all truth, I'm amazed that the apothecaries, they must have to go through like a special sort of like mental fortitude training or something. Because there's no nice way to say it. They have to see, like, their dead brothers and stab them with this massive drill syringe thing, and extract the gene seed that makes their brother into a space marine from them so it can be, like, reused, or... I don't know the exact reason they do it, I just know they have to collect it. It's one of their jobs or something. That would suck, though. Like, here's this brother that you've gone on, like, 300 plus campaigns with. You've lived, you two have fought together side by side for literal centuries, and then you have to look into his dead, glassy eyes as you take from him the gene seed needed to make another brother.
Initializing build protocol.
Another brother. I don't know, it seems like Apothecary's definitely ain't got it all that hot.
It is better to die for the Emperor than live for yourself.
My dreadnoughts are good to go. Let's go. Let's go. The Rhino is gonna stay there because it's stupid and I don't like it.
What are your needs?
Search commencing.
Establishing a secondary base near this location will give us a forward position with which to engage the enemy.
Like, I know, but on the alternative, I could just keep marching forward. I could probably, you know what, in all honesty, looking back at this mission, I probably could have speedrun this thing and knocked it out in no time at all.
Direct me to the injured. The battlefield awaits. No servant
Alright,
to the Emperor shall fall if I can.
I might make this the final push. I think I've dragged this mission out
No
long
servant
enough.
to the Emperor shall fall if I can help it.
They're gonna keep sending guys at this point, because, yeah, I think we'll just... The goal is to just make the final march towards the objective and wrap this mission up, because, yeah. I will say, like I said, I think I've been underestimating just regular tactical marines, because these are the same squads that we've had since the start, except for the Apothecary squad. That was made to replace the Scout squad. But yeah, even now, like with the Eldar dropping on us like this, we seem to be doing pretty alright. Well, this is the time. If we're gonna lose anyone, it'll be now.
The enemies of the Emperor shall be destroyed.
We're gonna take advantage of our abilities and stuff to try and keep up morale as well as decimate the enemy wherever possible. Our flame squadrons are of course gonna take the brunt of it because they're the ones closest to the front, but that's fully expected. They are just... Yeah, one squad is being turned into nothing more than the damage sponge, but like using our psychic powers we can also mess with the enemy. I'd use grenade. I'd use another grenade, but there's just too spread out to make it really worth it.
I will see that it happens. How can I serve?
We are the Emperor's chosen.
How can I serve? It will be done.
Taking damage.
Not even an issue.
What is it you desire?
I mean, we did suffer casualties like on a squad level, but again, all the squads pulled through. So,
on my way.
Not really a
What is it you
bad
desire?
outcome.
I will see that it happens.
No matter.
On my way.
Let's wrap this up. Quickly.
What is it you desire?
Oh, look, more troops.
What is it you desire?
Yes, truly, the wisdom of the Eldar is mind-boggling. What's the point of that game?
On my way.
It was like one poor little squadron against
way.
literally 5
protects.
squads of Space Marines fully decked out with
see that
heavy
it happens.
ordnance
Yes.
and commanders. That was bullying. That's what that
The Emperor
was.
protects.
No matter, we're here now. Yeah, mission complete.
So the good Inquisitor senses no chaos here. How fortunate for the Imperium that such keen-eyed eagles stand vigil over her gates.
What dark crafts have these Eldar invoked?
None. At least not here. The servants of Chaos sacrificed this poor guardsman themselves.
To what end, Isidore?
I know not. I believe the altar is a marker, a waypoint, in a map that leads elsewhere. Someone defaced many portions of text. Regardless of what Chaos seeks here, the altar requires a sacrifice of blood, or more likely, a life.
Brother Isidore, you have an hour to study the altar. Document everything as is our tradition. Then burn it, lest its taint infect us all.
But Gabriel, there is much to learn from here. We should not be too eager to...
Learn what? Chaos does not teach. It misleads and it betrays. There is nothing to learn here, save for our next course. These transports have been damaged somehow. Make the repairs, and be quick.
Well, Brother Isidore, what betrayal have you wrought? Disabling your own vehicles? Harboring artifacts despite your good captain's instructions?
Gabriel does not understand. He does not appreciate the significance of this.
No, but I do.
Quiet, heretic. Once I find what you seek, I will use it against you for the glory of the Emperor and my brothers.
You wish to deal me a harsh blow, to prove your strength and worth. Well, then come to me. I wait at Mount Korath.
Have no fear, sorcerer. I will be there.
There it is, another mission completed successfully by the Blood Angels. I have to admit, I am slowly becoming way more affectionate for Gabriel than I ever remember being. The amount of sass that man wields is a blessing by the Emperor himself. That is 100% for certain. Not so happy to see Isidore hanging out with the sorcerer dude. That's kind of depressing, because again, you shouldn't mess with Chaos. It's like the one thing every Space Marine chapter should be told. It's like, if you see Chaos, just burn it. Burn it and be done with it. Anyway, that's this episode done. I've been Deku Druid, and thank you very much for watching.